Out of all the people Dexter killed over the years, from cold-blooded serial murderers to morally gray characters, there's one that shattered him more than any other. It wasn't done out of rage, or justice, or even survival. It was done out of love. This is the saddest, most emotional kill in the entire Dexter series. In this video, we're doing a full Season 8 recap leading up to the most emotional kill in the Dexter series, the death of Debra Morgan. 6 months after killing Lagerta, Debra is broken and filled with guilt. She quits her job at Miami Metro and starts working for a private investigation company run by Jacob Elway. To cope, she abuses prescription drugs and even cocaine while working undercover to catch Andrew Briggs, a thief who stole jewels from the mob. Dexter tracks her down and asks why she has been avoiding him. Debra tells him she hates herself because of him. Meanwhile, Dexter begins losing control, even choking someone in a fit of road rage. Later, Dexter finds Debra again and warns her that a mob hitman named El Sapo is after Briggs, but she doesn't care. When Briggs returns, Dexter and Briggs get into a fight and Dexter kills him by stabbing him with a nearby knife. Furious, Debra throws Dexter out and calls the police. She then finds a safe deposit key on Briggs's keychain, which could lead to the stolen jewels. Part of the recovery reward would go to her. However, she doesn't realize that El Sapo is secretly following her from the crime scene. While searching for the stolen jewels linked to Briggs' murder, Debra finally finds them. However, El Sapo ambushes her, steals the jewels, and beats her badly. Later, El Sapo is found shot to death. When Dexter investigates the crime scene, he discovers Debra's blood there. Realizing she could be in trouble, he steps in and pulls her out of a brutal police interrogation about the murder. To protect her, Dexter agrees to cover up Debra's involvement in El Sapo's shooting and keep the police from finding out the truth. Debra gets arrested for drunk driving, but Quinn steps in to help her at 4 a.m. He lies to Jamie about where he is and manages to get the charges dropped. Meanwhile, Vogel questions Dexter about his deep attachment to Debra. She finds it strange and asks why he didn't kill her when she discovered his secret, suggesting that he might not be a perfect psychopath. At work, Debra sloppily takes on a new client. Quinn's growing concern for Debra and his lies about leaving in the middle of the night create tension between him and Jamie. Dexter tries to reassure Debra that she's still a good person, but things take a turn when her client refuses to acknowledge clear evidence of adultery. This pushes Debra further into despair. Drunk and overwhelmed with guilt, she attempts to confess to killing Lagerta to Quinn. Panicked, Quinn calls Dexter, who rushes over with Vogel. As Debra spirals out of control, Dexter is forced to inject her, knocking her unconscious. Just in time, Vogel grabs Debra's written confession before anyone else sees it. Debra continues to struggle with the guilt of killing Lagerta, even as she and Vogel work through the aftermath. No matter how much they talk, she can't seem to cope with what she has done. Meanwhile, Quinn learns from Batista that he aced the sergeant's test, but his struggles with Debra still weigh on him. When he gets into a fight with the officer who arrested Debra for DUI, Batista grows frustrated, especially since he is pushing for Quinn's promotion while Matthews opposes it. As Debra tries to move forward, she makes a devastating discovery. Harry didn't just die, he took his own life because of what Dexter had become. This revelation shatters her even more. At the same time, Debra spirals further. When she learns the full truth about Harry's suicide, the weight of everything becomes unbearable. In a moment of complete despair, she grabs the wheel while driving with Dexter and deliberately crashes the car into a lake, intending to kill them both. As the car sinks, rescuers pull Debra from the water, but when she sees Dexter drowning, something in her shifts. Instead of letting him die, she swims back and saves him. Vogel attempts to bring Dexter and Debra back together through therapy, but Dexter refuses to engage and walks out. Despite Vogel's efforts, the rift between them remains. Elsewhere, Masuka, uncertain about Nikki's intentions, asks Debra to run a background check on her. The situation becomes critical when Yates abducts Vogel. Desperate to find her, Debra and Dexter put aside their differences and work together. Vogel manages to call Dexter for help, and Debra traces the location. When they arrive, Dexter kills Yates and rescues Vogel. Later, as Dexter disposes of Yates's body, he brings Debra and Vogel along. At that moment, he expresses his feelings, telling them that he considers them family, with Vogel as a mother figure. Debra helps her boss, Elway, expose his sister's boyfriend for cheating. Later, while having dinner at Debra's house, both she and Dexter suddenly pass out. They've been drugged by Hannah McKay. Dexter and Debra wake up unharmed, realizing that Hannah drugged them as a warning. Determined to track her down, Dexter uncovers her current alias and address, discovering that she is now married to multimillionaire Miles Kastner. Suspicious of Dexter's movements, Debra borrows Elway's GPS tracker and secretly follows him. Things escalate when Miles, furious over Hannah's meeting with Dexter, confronts her violently. Pushed to the edge, Hannah kills him herself. She and Dexter work together to dispose of the body, but their actions don't go unnoticed. Debra sees them together. As if things weren't complicated enough, Dexter is called to a new crime scene inside his building. Unbeknownst to Dexter, Debra used the GPS tracker to follow him. When she arrives, she confronts him, ready to arrest Hannah. But Hannah pleads with her, insisting that she truly loves Dexter. After some hesitation, Debra lowers her guard and lets Hannah go. U.S. Marshal Max Clayton arrives in Miami to track down Hannah. Determined to protect her, Dexter misleads Clayton and moves Hannah into Debra's house for safety. As the hunt for Cassie's killer continues, Debra grows suspicious of Saxon. However, before the police can catch him, he vanishes. At the same time, she starts reconsidering her decision to leave law enforcement, wondering if she should rejoin Miami Metro. Saxon approaches Vogel, asking her to rehabilitate him the same way she has helped Dexter. Desperate to believe in her son's redemption, she agrees, at least for the moment. Meanwhile, Dexter officially resigns from Miami Metro, giving Batista his 2 weeks' notice. He also tells Debra about his plan to leave Miami with Hannah and Harrison, heading to Argentina for a fresh start. However, his sudden departure raises red flags for Clayton, who grows suspicious and starts looking into him. Debra decides to return to Miami Metro and in the process rekindles her relationship with Quinn, who has recently broken up with Jamie. Meanwhile, an unexpected accident complicates things for Hannah. After a treadmill mishap, she has to rush Harrison to the ER. Unfortunately, a nurse recognizes her and alerts Clayton, putting him on her trail. As tensions rise, Vogel brings Saxon into her home, but her nervousness makes him suspicious. When Dexter arrives, he walks into a nightmare. Saxon murders Vogel right in front of him and escapes before Dexter can stop him. Dexter quickly removes all evidence linking him to Vogel before calling the police to report her murder. As the investigation unfolds, Elway and Clayton grow more suspicious that Debra is hiding Hannah and start watching her closely. Meanwhile, Saxon reaches out to Dexter with an offer. They can both walk away and leave each other alone. On the surface, Dexter agrees, but secretly he plans to kill Saxon before leaving Miami for good. With a hurricane approaching the city, Hannah heads to the airport to wait for Dexter. However, she isn't alone. Elway follows her, determined to capture her before she can escape. Dexter finally tracks down Saxon and captures him, but as he prepares to kill him, he hesitates. His relationship with Hannah has changed him. He no longer feels the same urge to kill. Instead, he decides to take a different path and calls Debra to arrest Saxon. Unbeknownst to them, Clayton has been following Debra. He arrives at the scene just as she is about to take Saxon into custody, unintentionally getting in the way. Before anyone can react, Saxon seizes the opportunity. He kills Clayton, shoots Debra, and escapes, leaving her gravely wounded. Debra is rushed to the hospital with Quinn staying by her side. As she fights for her life, Dexter, Hannah, and Harrison manage to evade Elway at the airport. However, Dexter triggers a fake bomb scare, forcing them to leave before they can board their flight. To stay ahead of Elway, Hannah and Harrison take a bus to the Jacksonville airport, but Elway is already waiting for them. Thinking quickly, Hannah outsmarts him and escapes with Harrison before he can stop them. Meanwhile, Saxon sneaks into the hospital, intending to finish what he started and kill Debra. But before he can get to her, Dexter spots him. Angel arrives just in time and arrests Saxon, putting an end to his reign of terror, at least for now. After undergoing surgery, Debra's condition seems stable. But tragedy strikes. She suffers a massive stroke due to a blood clot, leaving her brain dead. Determined to get justice, Dexter visits Saxon in his cell. He provokes him into attacking, and when Saxon stabs him with a pen, Dexter retaliates, puncturing Saxon's carotid artery and killing him. When Angel and Quinn question Dexter, they suspect the truth but officially rule it as self-defense. As the hospital is evacuated due to the approaching hurricane, Dexter makes a heartbreaking decision. He disconnects Debra from life support, carrying her body out to his boat. Once at sea, he gently lowers her into the water, watching as she disappears beneath the waves. With nothing left to lose, Dexter steers his boat straight into the hurricane in what appears to be a final act of self-destruction. A few days later in Buenos Aires, Hannah reads the news of Dexter's death. But the truth is far more shocking. Dexter has faked his death. Now, living under a new identity, he works for a lumber company in Oregon, completely alone, leaving behind the life he once knew. Thank you for watching till the end. If you want more dark deep dives into Dexter's story, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. More blood-spattered breakdowns are coming soon.